It's mine. Every time there are issues concerning Cameroon, we are there to give an opinion.
Of course, we are here tonight to talk about issues happening in Cameroon. One of the recent happenings is the visit of the Minister of Territorial Administration to the two Anglophone regions. We saw his movements, his gesture, his declarations to the people. He was holding peace plant. But many are saying that the message of peace that he's taking to the region is coming a little bit too late when the crisis has already escalated. Is a peace message enough to quell the rising tension in the two Anglophone regions, Mr. Akojon?
Yeah, Mimi, I always doubt the positions of the powers in Cameroon. I will equally, maybe at the first time, that the Minister for Territorial Administration was taking contact with the crisis zone of the Northwest region, an effort which we might equally applaud. But then, as you rightly said, the same peace plan he took to the Northwest region, the same peace plan he took to the Southwest region, was the same peace plan Anglophone Cameroonian held on the 22nd of September 2017. But what did they receive? Gunshots, killing, brutality from the military. It means now that the government is becoming on the opposite side of the regime. The same plan that was for peace came in the time when the state gave an order for outright killing and massacre of this same group of people. Then you see, took the plan and gave to some of the chiefs and funds, and these very funds equally saying they are ready for peace. Peace plan by the protesters in southern or Anglophone regions was equally giving us that they were for peace, but then the peace was met with brutality and force from the military. If you take, for example, it is not because you are holding a peace plan. It may just be a protocol gesture. Some of the chiefs and funds equally telling the minister that they are ready to cooperate with him. Without what extent they want to cooperate, are they not doing so because of their own private interest rather than the interest of serving Cameroonians? You will equally come to realize that a lot of those actions that have been taken by the states, most of them remains as a propaganda to tell us that the state is in action. But at the end of the day, most of those decisions are futile. Nothing concrete, nothing in reality is happening. We can even visit a lot of them. You realize the Bilingualism Commission, which we are still seeing after the visitations of the various departments of the military, the ministries, and the various regions, nothing in reality has changed from whatsoever we call the Bilingualism Commission.
You are actually questioning whether the minister had the interest of the English-speaking population at heart. He has talked about the need for those that are hiding in bushes to return, and that chiefs have to play their role in ensuring that those children that are currently hiding in bushes should return. What do you have to say about that? First
of all, you will realize that the Minister of Territorial Administration, if there has been an individual that foiled up the massacre in the Northwest and the Southwest region, I believe the present Minister of Territorial Administration is one. He has been on the very first time telling the government that there is nothing like an Anglophone problem. And so we start doubting, what solution are you seeking? What are you resolving? What are you trying to tell the chiefs? And most often, we realize that the chieftaincy, which is said to be non-political or political, today many of them are propaganda agents of the state, and many have one position to go to the Senate or are the members of parliament. At the end of the day, how do this particular individual represent the persons? Are they representing the people of Cameroon, or they are representing and protecting their political position?
Telling the people to return, we got the reaction of the spokesperson of the Aya family. In the people of Kembong, Manu, in Division General, in the southwest region of the country, we have the people of Meme, some localities like Mbonge, we have Kwakwa in Mbonge, where people have actually escaped to other safer localities, to tell them to return to their respective localities without going there to see the situation on the ground, like make an assessment as to why the people actually had to escape to other localities. Is it really reassuring for the population?
Yeah, it is a statement that is made, and every administrator will have a reason to give such an opinion. Even the administrators in the two regions, in fact the governors, that have all been calling for people to come back. But what do we realize? We realize that a lot of times, those who die as civilians are being killed by the military from their stray bullets. We see a lot of curfews, not coming out, don't come out, stay on, stay in, and all the like. The people have been victimized by the presence of the military in the field. So what we have to do is, to me, as I said, If you take the security out of the roads, you take the armories. In fact, when you go to Manfi, you realize that we're in a war zone, that you realize war armors passing left and right at every juncture. A father is afraid to send a child out. So those who are going to come back, remember, on this same channel, before, on the eve of the senatorial elections, I said elections cannot be organized with part of the Cameroonian people out of this territory. We need to first of all give them a reason to come back. And this duty falls more on the state. The state must guarantee through its institution that there is a reason for us to come back. At the other side, you are telling those who are owning arms to come back. Who are they? I have said you are within a guerrilla warfare. You don't even know whether the neighbor you are sitting with, his gun is based in the forest, while in the house he is a civilian, but few minutes after you find himself within your back with a machete or a gun. Who is or who are this group of persons whom you are asking them to drop down their weapons and they will be forgiven by the state?
What do you think the government can do to ensure that those that have escaped to Nigeria should return?
We have said one. In fact, before the crisis got to this level, you will realize that many Anglophone Cameroonians are in prison. The first reason to be a sincere government is to release everybody without condition. And if the government can find time not to be toiling the corridors of the courtyards with a lot of Cameroonians, in fact, very neat and clean Cameroonians who are fighting for the peace and freedom of this generation, all of them are in prison because of a demand they have made to the government. Free everybody without condition. I mean, they were caught because of a crisis, and if we realize that there's a reason for this crisis, then there's a reason to free everybody that aired out his position during this period. And again, we are calling for sincere dialogue. It is not sincere dialogue where we have a listener and a dictator. We talk of two equals sitting on the same table to discuss in whatsoever we call pari passu. And they are going to do that not because there are some points which are negotiable and others non-negotiable. Everything, whosoever they are, will be negotiable on the same table, and nothing should be done under the table.
And that the dialogue should be inclusive. Like
this is what we're saying, including the civil society. We mean, when you see what has happened before the arrest of Agbongbala and the suspension of the consortium, we appointed a government agent. In fact, you know a lot of them that went to Bamina to negotiate with these people. What position were they protecting? They were protecting state interests and forgetting that the state belongs to the people and that the people are the state. And when they stand within this position, they always feel like they are bigger than the other. We need a neutral party to be an initiator to this particular negotiation. Why not call the clergy? Why not appoint a bishop? Why not look for people of the civil society to lead such a sincere dialogue where all Cameroonians will talk as equal and share or give solutions to the Cameroonian problem? In fact, many have said the Anglophone problem is a Cameroonian problem, which equally needed a Cameroonian solution. So the Cameroonian solution will not be taking military to kill, to loot, or to burn down houses in various villages. A lot of this, I mean, is already creating hatred between the citizens and whatsoever we call the state agents.
And the tension could be perceived during the senatorial election. We see the Social Democratic Front is already filing petitions at the Constitutional Council to call for the total cancellation of the election in the southwest region of the country, citing the tension in Bangem and irregularities in the BLM. What do you have to say about the general conduct of the election, especially in those regions? Yeah,
when you look at the senatorial election, in fact, in some regions, it was bound to be no game because it was manipulated from the onset. Since the CPDM, you look at the date of the election, elections were to be held on the 25th. The CPDM celebrated its anniversary on the 24th, meaning there was already a Hamas intention to have one party representative at the level of the Senate. This we have said that there were even going to be no senatorial elections. Cameroonians needed first the municipal elections, the regional council elections, the president of the regions, before we move to the Senate. Now, we even doubt the legitimacy of the Senate, not only the election, the whole process of the senatorial election was totally fake. If councillors, municipal councillors, the lone voters for this election, where are the regional councillors? And the invalidity, I said, if we even have to petition at the level of the Constitutional Council, we go to the legitimacy of the senators, which means only one group is there to vote, and the others have no access because the institution does not exist. Why then the need for the existence of the Senate?
So what would be your balance sheet? Because the outgoing, the senators that have there, their mandate is almost ending, even though they are holding their session in the nation's capital.
Yeah,
what would be your evaluation of their 5-year balance sheet?
Yeah, there have been no results. I said many Cameroonians said this organ is costing Cameroonians about 38 billion every year, And when you look at the results, what do they produce? It's a center for retirement agents, those who have worked for the party, and so they have basically been compensated by the state to finance, in fact, to spend lavishly the finances and taxes of Cameroonians. We need to look at it when you even see the creation and the composition of the Constitutional Council, what results will even come from such an organ, which 90% of its composition are ex-CPDM members or still CPDM agents in power who are there to manipulate the opinion of the state. We can appreciate if such a composition will have to do more with the civil society, considering the role he has to play. We just saw the petitions that were made on the list and the composition of the CPDM party before the senatorial elections. A lot of what was said was rejected by the Constitutional Council, already telling you that the Constitutional Council is present to fulfill its obligation and giving confidence to the head of state that they are there for him.
And many are hoping that the 30 remaining senators that are expected to be appointed by the head of state would respect this composition that you are talking about.
In fact, the appointment even by the head of state is another part of the violation of the integrity of the laws of the Senate. When people vote and an executive member appoints for people to be at the legislative organ, for what reason? It will mean now that the Senate, those who are appointed, in fact, the greatest fallacy we found was that the appointed senator from the West was then nominated as the president of the Senate. And you can imagine, when the president of the Senate is appointed by the head of state, it will mean it is not an executive power he's having. It's not a legislative power he's having an executive power. And with executive power, we rule by decrees. And so everything in the Senate, once it is tabled by the executive, it is simply applauded and acclaimed. And never have they contested any decision of the head of state. This is just another center of the will of the head of state, and this will equally go to strengthen and kill the opposition in this country.
Now finally, before we go, you might have a word or two to say about the visit of the head of state to China. He spent some few days there. He was looking at how to strengthen ties, bilateral and economic ties between China and Cameroon. What would be your evaluation of the visit of the head of state to China?
Yeah, the visit to China, you know, this is a financial year that is so overburdened on Cameroonians, equally more, I will mean, not strengthening ties, but economic ties, because Cameroon needs a lot of budget to manage the African Cup of Nations in 2019. We have an electoral year. In fact, all the elections need to be sponsored. And so what the head of state had done with Xi Jinping was to tell him that we are sorry that the amount of money you gave for the computers, you know the story of the Exim Bank China, that gave about 75 billion CFA francs to finance free computers to university students. Now it's an election year. We know we are still owing you. Please, can you do us some favor again? This is an electoral year. Please give us some money and let me use. The funniest thing with Cameroonians is that for 60 years after independence, we are not capable of being financially independent. Everything of yours, including salt, water, and pepper, is still being borrowed and financed in Cameroon by foreigners. Imagine when somebody determined. We just saw the Moroccans, as we were told. When it comes to water, we are still begging water from foreigners. When it comes to electricity, electricity is still provided by foreigners. The railway is still provided by foreigners. The telecommunication sector still being financed by foreigners. I mean, 60 years after independence, 35 years in power, Cameroonians are not capable of claiming autonomy in any of the basic needs of societal, any of the needs of the state. And we still link up to being fueled, we link up to being fed, and everything, even our cars and everything, comes from the external parties. So what independence do we have? What loans have we been taking? How much have we paid? How much is left? When are we going to finish this loan? A lot of questions are still left unanswered.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aku, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again. Thank you so much for your contribution.